If you've been injured on the job or in a sport and you feel stuck, not making progress toward getting back into your life, I encourage you to listen in on the next few minutes. I'm going to share with you a distinction that I made over the past 19 years as a doctor and a competitive athlete. This distinction is the difference between those who break out of that stuck cycle of chronic pain and everyone else. Hi, I'm Dr. Mancini, the Medical Director of the Center for Integrative Care, a functional medicine and peak performance center here in San Diego. Now, in my nearly 19 years of being in clinical practice, I've seen distinctions in both the injured athlete and the injured worker. Early on, when I began my studies in Chinese medicine, I also began to train and compete in full contact fighting at national, international, and world levels. This gave me a first-hand experience of being on both sides of the medical system at the same time. See, early in my career, I began to treat not only athletes, but also injured workers. And over a short period of time, I began to see a crossover between the injured athlete and the injured worker. And at that point, I then linked up in my mind that an injured worker is not much different than an injured athlete. And from that point on, the way I treated both was consistent. Now, in seeing both as the same, my ability to help both types of patients dramatically improved. So why is this important to you? Well, because if you want to make a breakthrough, model people that have achieved what you want. So if you've been injured on the job, in a sport, or just about any reason, pay close attention because it only takes one insight to make a breakthrough in your health. Now, the first distinction was in the area of performance. That is, the ability to generate force and power while maintaining body alignment. In other words, the ability to stand and move with maximum efficiency while minimizing the probability of injury. For a competitive fighter like myself, that translates into the ability to throw and strike your opponent with devastating force. For the non-athlete, especially the worker, it translates into the ability to lift, push, pull, and carry with more strength and ease. See, working in your office, although a different arena than a competitive athlete, both require functional strength. That is, the ability to maintain posture and movement against demands. So my question for you is, how functionally strong are you? Not how many curls you can do or how long you can run in a treadmill. A better question to ask yourself is, how tired do my muscles get from just sitting, standing, or filing papers? Or how long can I walk before I must sit down? Do I get pain or muscle tension if I'm leaning over to pick up something or putting on my shoes or just after washing dishes for 5 to 10 minutes? That's functional strength and endurance. Okay, the second correlate is a focus on minimizing yourself from getting re-injured or aggravating that injured site. Now, this is not solely about ergonomics, but more importantly, an understanding of the underlying cause. This really comes down to how conditioned or functionally strong you are prior to the injury. Now, with that said, if you do the right thing, try to strengthen the injured area at the wrong time, when the condition is still inflamed, you're going to aggravate it. So timing is everything. For example, utilizing modalities such as biomedical acupuncture to reduce the pain and inflammation may be a really good first step. A second step would then to be strengthening the area with physical therapy. Sometimes using the best of both worlds can be the best strategy to use when the condition's not flared up. All right, let's move on. A third distinction. When an athlete or a worker becomes injured, fear develops, which causes most to stop moving. See, when you slow down, or worse, stop moving, the body becomes deconditioned. It gets weaker, predisposing you to higher probability of injury. See, I learned my lesson the hard way because when you're fighting full contact, you're constantly getting injured. And if I stopped moving each time I was injured, I'd never move. I'd be a statue. So, one successful strategy that I've used that allowed me to continue to train and compete was what my teacher called the front burner, back burner concept. For example, if I injured my right hand, I would use my left. If I injured my left foot, I would kick with my right. Get the idea? It's pretty simple. Now, sometimes multiple body parts were injured and I felt like I was hit by a truck. Have you ever felt like that? In those cases, what I did is I shifted my workouts entirely to slow-moving restorative exercises like Tai Chi, Qigong, and other core functional exercises until I healed. When we're treating injured workers and athletes, and they're in that really inflamed state, where they can't even do much of anything, this is where we teach them these restorative exercises as well. The key is simple. Keep moving your body. So, in order to maintain muscle strength, minimize weakness, and maximize healing, the body needs to move. Now, the ritual of movement is not only for the purpose to maintain a strong physical body, but more importantly, a strong psychological and emotional state. What I commonly see with patients that don't move their body due to fear of worsening an injury is increased probability for depression and anxiety. And I see this so often. When you keep the body in motion, you feel emotionally better. That's why when working with injured workers or athletes, getting back into your job or sport as fast as possible is high priority. Why is it so urgent? Because the longer you're out of your job or sport, the more you become weaker physically, but more importantly, psychologically. When you fall out of the ritual of work and sport, you increase the probability of falling into habits of being lazy and emotionally unstable. So let me give you a trait that high-performing injured athletes and workers have that gets them right back into their game. And that trait is a sense of urgency. Now, what does a sense of urgency look like? Well, imagine a clock ticking each day you're out of your work or sport. That clock of urgency is a reminder for you to keep moving your body to maintain a positive attitude so you don't fall back into the trap of bad habits. A sense of urgency on the job means seeing yourself as an athlete, needing to get back into competition by a specific date. Otherwise, you'll get cut from the team or, in reality, from your job. If you're an athlete, know each day you're not training, you're losing your edge. One last thing, we're all creatures of habit. If you made exercise a daily habit, you know it's something you no longer have to think about. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't put brushing your teeth on your to-do list, or at least I don't. Why? Because it's part of my daily ritual. And I don't say, I brushed my teeth 3 weeks in a row, I'm gonna take a couple days off. Or I'm gonna switch it out to 3 days on, 1 day off. You don't do that. Why? Because it's a habit. So I encourage you to make exercise, which is simply a code word for movement, a daily part of your life, so that if and when you have an injury, you know to move. Lastly, make exercise a daily habit. Why? Because life will give you days off. What happens if you go on vacation, the kids are sick, you're not feeling well, and you don't work out, and in fact, you let a little too many days go by? You notice that it's a little more and sometimes very difficult to get back into your routine? See, the oldest book of Chinese medicine, called the Yellow Emperor's Classic, which is over 3,000 years old, stated that one of the most important factors of long-term health, above everything else, is to maintain healthy rituals, also known as habits of health. Listen, when you have a big enough why, a strong enough reason, you will figure out how to get your outcome. The most powerful reason I've seen motivate athletes or workers back into their sport or job has been by far more to do with one's life outside of work or sport. So that should be a little clue for you to start thinking about more reasons why than just getting back into the grind of work or sport. What we're really talking about here is your entire life and your ability to live fully. So begin to ask yourself, how many whys or reasons can you find to fuel my drive? In addition to getting back into my sport or job, what else will I get to do and experience by becoming healthier? The more reasons with emotional charge you add to your outcome, the more fuel and power you'll have. By the way, this is not just my view. Recent research from the Institute for Work and Health reinforces this, with evidence that patients who are optimistic about recovery following an injury will actually recover and return to work faster than patients who are less optimistic. So our goal here at the center is to keep planting the right seeds in those injured on the job, in the sport, and in life. So hopefully I've provided you some seeds of insight that will give you a strong enough why to take your life back. If you'd like to find out more about how we can assist you with your specific health concerns and how we can best integrate the use of medical modalities such as biomedical acupuncture, contact our office to schedule a free consultation with one of our functional medicine specialists. We can answer any questions you have to see if and how we can help you with your healthcare needs. I'm Dr. Mario Mancini, and I wish you the best.